up, Philadelphia and the surrounding areas? We are 4th and Go back here. Wednesday night, winning Wednesday. Dave Bleckner and the OG. Last week was one OG, but this week, the real OG. The original, the one that we've been carrying the torch with these past 3 months. Back from Disney. What's up, Marc Tomasini?
What up? What up? Yeah, got to enjoy the weather. It actually wasn't that much hot. I mean, it was still in the 60s and 70s a day or two, but living the dream.
Dude,
but it was good to be down there, and it was actually a good remedy for the Eagles' loss. So I didn't get to watch that whole game in full. I did watch it on my phone in lines at the Kingdom, but yikes.
All right, we'll get into that and a whole lot more. Just to run down the kind of structure we're looking at tonight, we're going to break down the Eagles-Bucks game. Then we're going to get into their overall season recap here. Obviously, success getting into the playoffs, but we're going to talk a little bit about, what we saw and what we liked. And then from there, we're going to look at, is Hurts the guy in 2022? And then the next step, what are the biggest holes to fill? And then from there, we'll get into the NFL playoffs, look at divisional round. What's our best bet? Who are our Super Bowl favorites? And then lastly, we'll jump into some Sixers tonight. Just watch JoJo throw up a 50 bagel. Got to talk Sixers. Got to talk Ben Simmons. It's going to be a great show. And first and foremost, let's say, Adam Cease, what's up, bro? I saw you earlier on Flyer and Ice. Thanks for checking in there. As always, thanks for checking in here. Next week, I plan to be at the Steam Pub. Tomasini, you trying?
I'm in.
So I hope to see you out there, Adam. I know you've been popping in there. Love you, man, and always appreciate you checking in. With that said, let's kick it off with the top of our agenda, the Eagles-Bucks recap. Marc, I'll just give you this. I know you were checking in. I know you know all the numbers that went on. But simply put, the Eagles were outmatched, outclassed. And the fear of the game going in for me was that they would not be able to run the ball against the third-ranked rush defense in the NFL. And boy, could they not. And when they couldn't run the ball, we started to see our biggest flaws on offense. And that was Jalen Hurts trying to throw the ball and beat teams vertically down the field. Can't happen. Can't go horizontal against this Bucs defense. They're too fast, too good. And then from there, it just kind of unraveled. The Eagles defense, I will tell you as a whole, I wasn't that mad. They created 4 sacks. They created 4 punting opportunities in the first half. Yeah, they let up that first touchdown after Derek Barnett had the bad personal foul. But, in all, they were trying to keep the Eagles in this game. We had the ball near midfield, driving, couple penalties, then Hurts throws a pick near halftime where we could have got 7-7 and doubled it over, getting the ball at half. Defense held its own. They had a short field in the second half when your boy Rager fumbles the ball. I hope you're finally done with him.
Stop. You don't put that out there. That's fodder. I don't want to hear that. That's lies. Don't ever knock me to Jalen Reagor. Come on. Let's not do that.
I won't. But all right. We'll talk
that
about
hurt.
All right, Adam.
That's the worst thing you could have ever said, that he was my boy.
All right, we'll see Adam next week. But yeah, in totality, I was texting some friends, and I'm sure you were, and I told them, I said, yo, guys, watch the Eagles score 2 touchdowns in garbage time. The kings of garbage time. And we're going to get a couple stats thrown up, and Hurts is going to throw. And we're going to say, all is well, da. If they could have played this way, if could not. They didn't play that way. They were always bad first half teams. They were always down. They were always even with the bad teams. They were not an overall good football team. The coach came in with a bad game plan. And what I mean by that is, he tried to run. When it didn't work, he didn't have an answer. And so that's a little bit unprepared, not able to adjust in game. So that's on Nick. But I'm not so sure. A lot of it's on Jalen too, because the guy can't anticipate routes. And when he did, it was behind players. Troy Aikman was so unapologetic, so critical of Jalen Hurts not being able to make even the simplest of throws he was pointing out. Now, it wasn't like he was just like driving him. You could just tell Aikman's, he was just mad. And he could have thrown that ball at his age. And when it gets down to it, we were outclassed, outmatched.
Yeah, no. So, it's funny. I got to watch the whole first quarter. And for me, when they were down 14-0, it was, I knew they were going to have to go away from the run. And with that being said, we were going to see who the true Jalen Hurts was, and they haven't played a real opponent in weeks. And like you, and the point that you touched on, you know, against Washington, against the Giants, against both Giants games and Washington, I think both of those games too, they had what, a combined 30 points over 4 halves right there against terrible teams. I mean, it's all you need to know. Hurts can't drive the ball down the field. He can't put them in position. The only way that happens is when the run game is going. I mean, we've seen what it is. We've seen what he is. He's better. Like, and somebody made a great point yesterday. The team started out 2-5, and they were away from the run. Everybody clamored for running the ball. That's when they won, and it also had to do with their schedule too. You saw what happened. The wheels fell off, and also, I think they said Goddard had 7 targets before Devontae got 1. And Devontae didn't get his first target until 2 minutes in the second half. And I was listening to Brian Westbrook the other day, and he was like, anytime when back in the Andy Reid era and when T.O. was there, when they draw up their first 15 plays, they know which plays they're going to go with. And T.O. sat in the room and he would say, why aren't I getting 8 targets in those first 15 plays? Now, obviously, T.O. is T.O. He's, you know, the diva type of guy or whatever, but he was a good player and he earned the ball because you got to keep the defense honest. And Devontae Smith is by far your best pass catcher, and you're not going that way. And you have him lined up on the left side of the field, the side that Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball to. So I do think that the game is more on Jalen. I do think that it had to do with execution or by the players, but Sirianni also, I've given him credit in the past for being able to make adjustments. He was not ready for that game on Sunday at all. Both Sirianni and Jalen Hurts look like rookies out there.
Yeah, and I love, you know, Marc's point here. Drums, thanks for checking in. You know, that's another OG. Man, the OGs return. Marc Drumheller helping us, you know, talking about flowers. Marc helped us cultivate and grow the roots of 4th and Go to where we are today. But yes, I agree with you. The posts on social media, the celebrations, the really just going over the top on what Sirianni is to them and how much, you know, the connection, the word connection. They love to be connected to their coach. It was a little too, I'm with you. They didn't win anything. They beat the Redskins twice and the Giants once. And I think that played a little bit of the role. Really, the role it played was they weren't who we thought they were. Or did we? Let's put it another way. They weren't who they thought they were. Yeah.
Right. Better. Yeah. Better put.
Yeah. And I think I got a good question for you that came in from one of our, and I want you to answer this one. I'm going to sit back and enjoy this.
Yeah, no, that's to me, it's worse liking Whiteside. As bad as Reagor has been, Whiteside literally has like 3 catches over his whole career. I mean, if anybody can excuse that, well, here's the problem. You got the coaching staff trying to tell us that he's an enforcer. He's a beast in blocking down the field. You don't draft a wide receiver in the 2nd round to block down the field. So to me, don't get me wrong, Reagor, and you look at, so here's the thing, you know, and everybody talks about this. I mean, literally, if the Eagles went with the board 2 years in a row, we are sitting there with DK and JJ, as in Justin Jefferson. Now, it always doesn't work like that. Don't get me wrong. Right. But literally, when you have, like, and they came out the other day that they overthrew Andy Weidel. Andy Weidel was in on Justin Jefferson. So all the scouts were in on Justin Jefferson. And yet they still managed to take Reagor over Jefferson. I mean, the whole thing is literally how you can mess up wide receiver 2 years in a row. Like thank God they didn't screw up Devontae Smith. They didn't. Like, imagine if they did something else. I mean, and there were many other receivers. Like, I remember that night thinking, like, I was disappointed that they didn't trade up for CeeDee Lamb 2 years ago when they got Reagor.
Yeah, but it's the Cowboys. I don't think that would have been a tough trade.
That's what hurts more. But I thought that they really should have just made the leap, go get CeeDee Lamb, whatever. They didn't. And I was like, oh, all right, I guess I'll deal with Justin Jefferson. and then they take Rager. But there were even guys after him that were better than him. Brandon Ayuk comes off even after Jefferson. Yep. But the thing is, it's just like, here's the one thing. What I know we talk about this time and time again. Howie and Jeffrey think that they know more than everybody else. I mean, look, the stats spoke for themselves. Their collegiate seasons, their last year in college. Justin Jefferson had 109 catches and God knows how many touchdowns, 6 in the national the semifinal game alone in the hardest conference in all of college football, playing the best competition. Jalen Reagor in one of the easiest offensive conferences in college football, where they score 90 points a game, had maybe 5 touchdowns, 55 catches. Unreal.
Yeah, so this one's easy for me. This is all the bigger disappointment is Jalen Reagor by far.
Yeah,
he's first round value. So already tossed out, Whiteside second round, look, it was a bad pick and he's going to be gone after this year. But we can move on. When you were drafted as a first round talent and you're drafted to come in here and do some things that they think, to make up for their Whiteside pick, really. They were looking for more speed, more catch radius, more physicality. They were looking for a punt returner. We saw what that ended up in the playoff game. They got it all wrong with Jalen Reagor, and he is more mouth than production. I think he had 200-some yards. There was a tweet out there, whatever it is, got it. But that, Ruggs picked in the same draft, right?
Yeah.
Had more yards, almost double what Reagor had, and has been in jail since week 8.
Out of the league.
Since week 8. Been in jail. Yeah, this guy got to play his full 17 games and couldn't even come close. And he's going to be here. I'm telling you guys that now.
He absolutely is. Howie of all GMs is somebody who doesn't go back on his draft picks. He tries to get it as much as he can. He gives them every opportunity to get it right. Don't be surprised if JJ is still here, because that was a Jeffrey pick. Jeffrey picked JJ for whatever, because he's a Rhodes Scholar and went to Stanford and studied at Oxford or something like that. Like, he has an institutionalized wide receiver who can block. Anyway, so with that being said, yeah, I know Reagor's not going anywhere. They're going to ride it out as long as they can. And, I get really upset when people compare Reagor and Aguilar. And Aguilar had drops, and it was bad. It was really bad. But Aguilar did a hell of a lot more. And that's not even including a Super Bowl season. I mean, Reagor was brought in to be a special teams guy. They were hoping to get Deshaun Jackson 2.0 with a small stature guy who could return punts and, catch long balls, which he hasn't done either of. I mean, you drafted a guy in the first round because he could return punts. God muffs everything that comes his way. It's unreal.
It wasn't even just that muff. The freaking 3 punts before that, he couldn't even figure out how to field in the air, and they bounce around past him. Yeah. And we lose yardage on that when we could have the ball near midfield, up at 30. And then there's a part of accountability. All the fans right away, we're like, let's cut this guy. And the reality is that's our immediate initial reaction. But to not take him out and put someone else back there. And I know you didn't have, I think Greg Ward was hurt, but
Gainwell
does kickoffs, right? And then what does Reagor do? He muffed another one. Now he got it back, but it just shows you, like, you can mess up here. Go ahead, back in, buddy.
Yep. Yeah.
Not good.
No, not good.
I put his ass right on the bench. That's what I do. But Sirianni instead wants him to just keep growing those roots.
You do it once, that's fine. But when you do it 3-4 times, you essentially messed up 4 punts. And look at all the punts throughout the season where he got either negative yards or 1 yard, because he starts running off to the side. And then when he realizes that he left for dead, he just dives forward. Yeah. He had 1 good punt return this year. That was it. 1.
All right, let's get off the hate parade. Even though he deserves it. And let's just finish up the Tampa game. Ideally, in the right situation, I can tell you, I think Tampa could have been had. But they didn't have much of a running game. Mike Evans torching us was very surprising to me, especially when we had Darius Slay. But to see Mike Evans get matched up on guys out there like McLeod and some other areas that was just too easy for him. Steven Nelson. I got to also blame a little bit on Gannon. I know I said the defense held their own, but to let their best player torch us, that's just not the way we should have gone down on that side.
Right.
So overall, big fail. Big test, big fail. 31-0, ended up 31-15. Wraps up this season for the Eagles. Tampa goes further. We'll talk about them in a little bit here. But as the Eagles season went and came, I'm sure I'm going to ask you to give it a grade. And I'll lead off. And I'm going to say, for me, it's a B+. And I could even almost got to A-, but just knowing that, the schedule it was. And like I said, and not to toot any horns, but no, I had them 9-8, make the playoffs. That they got there is almost par for the course I was thinking, but I'll give them even a little touch higher because of the fact that they were 2-5, because of the fact that they had to go 7-2 down the stretch, because of the fact that they might have grown a little bit together. Sirianni got better. He did. He stopped pandering. He stopped these analogies, and he just played football. Hurts, for the most part, got a little bit better, and he did grow until, the last few games, and maybe some of that's the ankle. Maybe it is, and we'll see. But he did show some resiliency and a potential. We'll get into him in a little bit. And then young players grew. I mean, Devontae Smith, for the lack of targets he got compared to like Jamar Chase and some of the other guys out there, is an absolute stud. And he was able to grow. He was able to set a rookie record for the Eagles. That great, season he had.
It is an asterisk. Let's
because of the extra game. And I get it. But I mean, because we don't pass it, you look at it so many different ways. But
he should have gotten more targets.
Yeah, absolutely. Goddard, when he was focused, I just think of the game when the Jets game, finally Minshew comes in and it's the Goddard show. And then even this week and some other weeks with Hurts, we did have some. I think Goddard's a good piece of the future. And then I look at the offensive line. It's good. Mailata was very good this year. I thought Dickerson moving over to guard, I thought he played really well. Kelsey, once again, an all-pro type season. Who knows where he'll end up? Hopefully it's one more year back in the green, especially with the potential this team shows. Lane, when he plays, still solid, right? So a lot of good things still happening on this team. I give it B+.
Yeah, okay. I will, I'll give it a C+ just because I think there were teams who were lacking. I think the NFC was to be had. And I think that they got away with their schedule because they showed that against the teams that were good, that they really were inferior competition. They just lucked out with a schedule. And I just think I would have been more content with the way that the team was if they had better games against Washington and New York down the stretch. And just to see that it was fluky, like against the Giants at home, it's 3-3 at the half. And then they end up winning 34-10. But that's a Alex Singleton interception return touchdown. It's part of that. Like, don't get me wrong, they got it together. They changed their course, but this team couldn't start. They had to go with adversity. And I think they, like you said earlier, as you coined it, they're the king of garbage time, especially Jalen Hurts. Like, king of garbage time. Like, his stats look so good because in the first half of the season, he got his padded stats from garbage time because teams let up. They're like, we know we have this in the bag. And they just threw. And they're playing zone coverage. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. My grade probably should be higher because I only predicted them to have 6 wins. But I knew, and like the thing is, it's going to sound stupid, but like me being in Disney, like I was like, damn, I'm going to be like in the parks, when the game is on and they're in the playoffs. But like, I was like, let's be real. What are they doing? What are they going to do? And they took a fart on Sunday. And that's what happened. And that's what it was. 15 points is not real. The score was 31-0. That was the game.
That's it.
It was 31-0. That, the Boston Scott run, I saw that. He broke a hole. He got up, I didn't even see the last Gainwell touchdown. But there's a lot of good things to look forward to. And I'll tell you this, you touched on the offense about how they got better. Darius Slay played really well for them this year. Rodney McLeod had a good comeback season. I think that was necessary for him. I was really intrigued by Anthony Harris, but he really didn't live up to the hype. I mean, his best season was in 2019, but they got him on
1 year. right?
He was on a 1-year, $5 million deal. I was surprised because he was PFF's top rated safety in 2019. And the D line, yeah, we need some work. I mean, Javon Hargrave went missing, though he had a great start to the season. Fletcher Cox was very disappointing, and that's just somewhere that we're at there. Josh Sweat, for the most part, played well. Still don't really understand what happened with him as to why he didn't play, but I don't think he made much of a difference, maybe just a little bit. Unfortunate that of what happened. I still don't even know the full scenario. Somebody said it wasn't an appendix, but with that being said, the one thing I'll say is we finally found somewhat of a linebacker in TJ Edwards. Excited for him. Not that he's going to be a star or anything in the least. He's no Michael Parsons, real, but we finally hit on something at the linebacker position. Good to see him step up. I think Sean Bradley played decent, but again, he's more of a backup role guy. They need to address linebacker. I mean, we're going to talk about the draft, but there's a mean linebacker coming out from Georgia that, is falling around their pick. It'd be nice to really see them go get a playmaker there. So that's kind of why my grade, like I said, I see some things. I kind of want to touch on the defense. C+ for me. It just wasn't enough. They really didn't turn the tide as much as they should have. And I think that some of that NFC teams really dropped the ball, like teams like Minnesota and stuff like that probably should have been better than what they were, but they fired their head coach, rightfully so.
Yeah. All right. Let's post and defense. I'm with you. Listen, they had 29 sacks. Talked about that being a big factor going in. They were 31st in the league. They actually got 4 on Sunday, which was like, wow. If you would have told me they got 4 on Tom Brady, I would have been like, we're in this game. But, a lot of those sacks came from Sweat, 7.5 during the season. And, like you said, Hargrave up the middle and Cox. I think they got like 11 from the 2 tackles. It was almost nowhere else.
Yeah. Hargrave had 8.5 to start the season, and then he just went missing.
Yeah, I think Barnett might have had 2.5. They're going to need some upgrades there for sure.
We've seen the last of Barnett, hopefully. So
we have. All right. I know it's the early year. I know it's the early question, and we got to say it, and we got to talk about it. I was a little emotional during the game. I was tweeting out there, Hurts can't be a franchise quarterback, and I will be here today to tell you I still stand by that. But I'm going to answer this question with this succinctness, and it is that he should start in 2022. Do I believe in Jalen Hurts, the quarterback? No, I don't. Do I believe in an NFL quarterback, a starting NFL quarterback that makes $1 million and you can build your roster around the rest of them? Yes, I do. And I think what we can do here in some unique way is there's 2 things. One, we build this team around Hurts with that $1 million contract and make it attractive for a potential free agent the next year. Because right now, I'll tell you, I don't think this is attractive for Russell Wilson. I don't think it's attractive for an Aaron Rodgers. And why would they want to come to Philly with that roster? But build. And maybe you start to maybe it gets the interest of those guys that you could bring. And then secondly, if you could get lucky, because I've seen some mock drafts recently, where Malik Willis, even I've seen it lately with our boy Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh.
2 gloves?
2 gloves. They both slipped in the second round in some mock drafts. I could get my second quarterback in the second round. I could develop that and bring that because we did it to Wentz with Hurts. I'm talking. So as we stand today, I explore the market. I see what's out there. I don't want to break up my 3 first-round picks necessarily for anything of those guys I talked about earlier. And I probably roll with Hurts. And I try to build this team up to be so good all around. When we won the Super Bowl, we won with a backup quarterback because the roster was so good around him. And that's what I think we probably need to do for next year. Let Hurts give it one more try. After that, hopefully maybe we draft a successor now or that we make this team attractive for 2023. I know, but really, what's it going to cost?
The rumors are back. The rumors are back. We're back.
I can't give 2 or 3 first round.
No, I know. No. I'm all joking aside. I gotta say that, and I said it a couple weeks ago, I do think Hurts has earned the opportunity to start
Opportunity. That's a good word.
in
Yep.
2022. I think that they are going to explore all their options. Don't be surprised if Deshaun Watson's name becomes back in the mix. I think they have to see what they can do at Russ. I just don't see Aaron Rodgers coming here. I mean, besides the fact that he wants to go out to the West Coast, he wants to be on the West Coast. I can't envision Aaron Rodgers as a Philadelphia Eagle. So to me, that's not even on the table. To be honest, like I would rather see this team if they were able to. I forget, is Derek Carr a free agent or is he's a free agent?
Free agent. Yeah.
See, I'll be honest. This is how much I don't believe in Hurts. I would rather see them go out and sign Derek Carr, either keep Hurts or trade him away somewhere and spend money in free agency and see what they can do with that team. I really don't. I don't see it with Hurts. He can't make the throws. He doesn't go through progressions. Orlovsky had the one play breakdown where Quez Watkins would have been streaking on a post. Hurts is not that guy. Like there's two things missing with him. He doesn't read his progressions. He looks at his first guy and then takes off. He can't. There's three things. He can't throw to his left at this point, and he doesn't have the powerful arm. I don't like. Yeah. And the one thing about the arm, that doesn't develop. You have it or you don't. There's recruits out of high school who can flick of the wrist, put the ball down the field in this somewhat accurate fashion. I mean, you see it. This guy's got he doesn't really have strength behind it. And if he does put strength behind it, it's completely inaccurate. Like he doesn't have to touch. So to me, it's a no for me with her. Like I said, he afforded the opportunity to start. And I think that if they see all their options, they're going to be hesitant to move on from him until they know that they can get something better. But and if they decide to draft somebody, like you said, like I would love if Kenny Pickett. I don't know about Malik Willis, right, from Liberty. I don't think he did enough.
Yeah, but he's got no talent. So that's the thing. I want to see how he does in Senior Bowl. I think 5 of these 6 quarterbacks are going there.
Right, because I mean, we saw with Wentz, he shot up through the Senior Bowl and went from like a 4th round pick to a, 2nd overall, like in the Senior Bowl.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, to me, it's just I think they do go with Hurts if they can't find anything else. It's kind of like, all right, well, we have a placeholder right now. Let's see what we can do. I think they have to explore all options. But like I said, I would love to see Derek Carr.
I got to take one back. I like Derek Carr. He is on contract for the 2022 season. I'm sorry. I thought he was a free agent. He's owed $19 million. He's actually on the kind of cheap. When we talk about NFL starting quarterbacks. What happened was he doesn't want to talk contract extension. So he's kind of like dead man walking for the Raiders. Right. Do we sit here get a new coach and this guy doesn't want to sign? He wants to go out trade and get something from him. So that is going to be the interesting. Yeah, I don't think a trade would cost you much with a quarterback on a 1-year deal. That's why we got a little bit for Wentz, because they still had 2 years and a 3rd-year player or a team option with him. And that's why I think we got a little more with a 1-year contract. It probably doesn't cost you as much. Derek Carr, to me, is I know he hasn't won, but he's got a winner's mentality. He's tough as nails. He's got the arm. I like Derek Carr. I just don't know if I don't know if I can get him.
It's not attractive. It's not, it's a better option than, say, Kirk Cousins.
Oh, God, no. Yeah.
You know what I mean? No. Like it's something I would like to see if they can go out and get a wide receiver. I mean, I doubt they could be able to get like Devontae Adams, but if they got, like a Allen Robinson to go along, like, and I'm saying like, this is being realistic. This isn't like getting a star wide receiver, but getting somebody on the Calvin Ridley, Allen Robinson, Mike Williams, putting them across from Devontae Adams, and then using the draft picks that they have at least 2 first-round draft picks, and they build up that defense, and their line comes back. Jason Kelce comes back, and Isaac Seumalo is healthy, and he could be the right guard. Because I've heard today, I don't know if it was real or not, but Brandon Brooks might be retiring. So that really, it's only the right guard position on offense that is, a true and a second wide receiver or first wide receiver, however you want to look at it.
No, receivers like probably, and let's get into it now as we move forward here. What are the Eagles' biggest needs in 2022? And for me, I mean, it starts on defensive line. We talked about it earlier. Zero production from. I mean, you got Josh Sweat, 7.5 sacks, but not much else anywhere else. We talked about Hargrave has 8.5, and I'm not sure he got 1 or 2 more the rest of the year. They need some help. They got nothing from the ends. I mean, part of that Barnett, but part of that Brandon Graham getting injured.
Graham went down.
And then Ryan Kerrigan really just not doing anything until he finally showed up. He had, I think I saw at one point, he had over 300 snaps and 1.5 tackles. It was like an NFL worst of all time for that many snaps and that little of tackles. He did show up in the playoff game, got it. But it's defensive line for me right away. From there, it is linebacker. And we talked about Nakobe Dean. Devin Lloyd out of Utah is a very interesting linebacker prospect as well. I actually might rate him slightly higher due to his side-to-side mobility, his length. Nakobe Dean's smart and great, and don't get me wrong, I won him. But if Lloyd's sitting there at 15, I'm really thinking about it. I think it was Mel Kiper today that said something like he had to go back to 1978 to the last time the Eagles took a linebacker with a draft pick in the first round. So we're moving on. That's about the year I was born, 43, 44 years. I hope that streak breaks this year. And then lastly, it's receiver for me. So I go DN, linebacker, receiver. I think I can buy a little bit in the cornerback, D-back world, safety. I mean, there's some prospects I would love. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But we did spend some inventory on it and some capital last year with McPherson. That's where I would go. I try and look at the line, the linebacker, and receiver, because, Quez, he ain't it. Rager, he ain't it. Now, Quez had some nice plays, but there was a play down on the sidelines. Easy catch for a very skilled receiver. He didn't even get 1 foot in. He's nice, but he just shows you why he's not top tier. They're top tier in this draft. There's Jameson Williams. There's Chris Olave. There's good players. Wide receiver is the biggest need for me on offense.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm the one who started by bringing up the fact, like going after like a Devontae Adams or something like that. But looking at those second tier receivers, like you got a Mike Williams in here, you got a big physical receiver that can go alongside Devontae Smith. Where Devontae Smith
from the Chargers,
right. Where Devontae Smith showed he has great footwork, he has speed. They really didn't blow over the top. See if they can find a real speedy receiver, somebody who's not Jalen Reagor. I mean, if you can have 3 good receivers and you bring in a guy like Derek Carr, that changes things. One thing going back to your point on linebacker, because I do think linebacker is definitely a position of need. Talk about TJ Edwards excelling, but like, again, he's got a ceiling. He's got a ceiling. It's not too high, but he's been good. He's been very good for them. An undrafted player, that 3rd year in the league. The one thing about the linebacker from Utah, I think they had 2 elite linebackers. So the only concern that I would have, I'm pretty sure he had a guy next to him too that is like a first round top tier, like another top caliber guy. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but I know that they have 2 linebackers. Defenses have to prepare for both linebackers. So maybe that's the only reason why I'd be a little, but that's not saying much. He's got the talent. I mean, it's not like you get what I'm saying? Like, I think offenses can prepare for, knowing that there's 2, maybe 1 gets a little more free. Does that make a little bit of sense? It's not as big of a deal as like having 2.
It does, but Nakobe Dean had about 8 all-pro players on Georgia around him. So, I mean, I'm just saying from a linebacker perspective,
sure.
I
wouldn't take him. I want them to just take a first-round talent linebacker, even a second-round talent linebacker, like my boy KOJ. He played great for Cleveland this year. That's a second-round talent who had a first-round grade.
No, so you don't want them in the first round.
I'm not bashing him. I would take Devin Lloyd in a second.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the only
I think so. For my take, I love Nakobe.
I'll go ahead.
But, just what I will say now, and things can change, but when you're picking, now we have it in concrete. We're picking 15, 16, 19. And when we're picking high value picks, Yeah, we didn't get up in the top 10, but these are high value picks still. I'm praying they don't do anything. I want all three. I just do. This is what I want. I need to build the Buffalo Bills. Some of the more successful teams in the playoffs right now have built from the draft and then use their riches in free agency. I want some other free agents this year. I'm not big on getting a wide receiver in free agency. I'm just going to give you two names from this year. The highest two rated receivers were Kenny Galladay and Curtis Samuel, and they both were tremendous waste of money. Now, Samuel, one reason or other, was injury. Galladay was hurt. But it's tough. I know Devontae Adams is real deal. I would spend my money there, but a lot of other
you
guys,
have to do that. That's who you have to do. Yeah.
Yeah. But otherwise, it's drafting wide receivers. But I just hope they hold on to the three. And you were going to say? Well, I get my beer.
One thing I was going to say about Nakobe Dean, like he was a great playmaker in the national championship game. And to me, I've talked about it before, like even when it goes to basketball, really, I've made this alliteration more in basketball, but like how a player plays in the national championship game changes things for me. Like, I talk about how, Duke took out Jahlil Okafor in the national championship game. And I said, I wrote him off then. He never was a good player. De'Aaron Fox, on the other hand, he stepped up big in the not the championship game, but the Final Four. He stepped up. He was a good player. Or I think it was a Sweet 16. It was against Lonzo Ball though, who was. I look at how a player plays in this type of games. And Nakobe Dean, I think it's a slight edge for me, just because I think he excelled in the night. He was everywhere, absolutely everywhere. He was causing havoc. And that was the difference to me. But with that being said, wide receiver, linebacker, DN. I mean, the only other position now, I guess, would put him forth. I'm with you on those positions. A running back. And the thing is, I know we have Miles Sanders and everything like that, but I think that he is vulnerable. I don't think that he is what we thought he was going to be. It's been frustrating. I think it's part the scheme, but it just seemed like things were better in the run game when he wasn't there. And you have a guy like Jordan Howard who played great for us. I mean, once he got injured, it was never the same. But they need a guy like that who's got a little more brute than Miles Sanders. And there's guys who fall in the second, third, fourth rounds of the draft that maybe the Eagles can hit on. I don't expect them to take a running back in the first round. I don't really think there's much running back talent, first round talent this year.
I agree.
But I think that they need to look again. I know they hit on Kenny Gainwell in the first round, and I think he's great, but he's a scat back. He is more of your Darren Sproles type of player who's going to catch out of the backfield. And he showed he can run between the tackles and such, but he's not your every down back. As much as I loved him before the draft. I was hoping that they would get him. But so to me, running back would also be the next position after the top three that we both agree on that I would like to address, because they showed that when their running game is good, it's great. Yep. So if they can really get a real runner.
For me, I get aggressive in the second round if two, if not three of the top five quarterbacks are there. And then I do look at running back somewhere, thereafter. I'm with you. Like, I'm done on Miles Sanders.
It's I loved him being a Penn State guy, but it's just not happening.
Yeah, I mean, he runs hard. It's the fumbles. It's the, I got to break things outside. It's just the inconsistency.
The loss of yards.
Yeah, it's the inconsistency
trying to make
of Miles Sanders. Yeah. And I think this year, I think you're right. I think we can find some value. Once again, in running backs, just the way the NFL has started to go. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, God, he was either the very last pick in the first round or early second round.
I think he was like the second or third pick of the second round.
And then, Clyde Edwards, who I know, Hilaire, again, but last pick of the first round. Najee Harris, very late. So there's some talent for sure to be found. As we did, we talked Eagles for a lot of this because we bleed green. A lot of green on the show tonight. A lot of green in the background. We are fourth and go. That's what we do. But we got to talk of what's left. And NFL, it's 4 great games. We'll get to the Sixers, but the NFL has 4 great games this weekend. 4 fantastic games, I should say. You know what? I'm going to put this even in a little bit of yellow because I can't wait. It's going to be a great divisional round. And as I look at it right now, I'm going to tell you, early in the season, we talked, Mark, and I'm going to hold firm here. You asked me who the Super Bowl favorite is right now. It's my Buffalo Bills. I just think when they are playing their game, they are the best team in the NFL. And they came out and showed it this week against New England. They're a team that, if you look at the upper metrics, they rank in the top 10 in defensive efficiency, offensive efficiency, passing, rushing, passing defense. They are that good. Where they tend to struggle, it's in their own heads, in their own game. Josh Allen had like a little lull in the middle of the season here, but this is it. It's lining up to a Buffalo Bills Slay the Dragon warpath. They got their first dragon down, and guess who had 3 dragons? Cersei in Game of Thrones, right? Or not Cersei, Daenerys.
Yes.
Listen, got the first one down. Now they got to go get the second one. That's out in Kansas City. They have some demons there. They're going to slay the second dragon this week, and then there might be a third one waiting for them. Tennessee has given them trouble along the way, too. Yep. I think, man, put Buffalo in a Super Bowl. They're my favorite right now. I really, really like Buffalo.
You and I, we both called the same Super Bowl, and it was funny. I saw a tweet a couple nights ago that said, for all the people who picked Buffalo, LA, you're looking pretty good right now, because LA looked good against Arizona Cardinals, and the Cardinals are ship right now. But
you had the Rams winning, right?
No, I had the Bills winning.
Who?
Yeah.
Did I have the Rams winning then?
Sure. I think you had the Rams. I could be wrong, but I thought you had the Rams. But I really think that you said that just to change things up.
Yeah, because I have a big bet on the Bills. Big bet on the Bills.
Here's the thing. This is what they do. They had a bad first game against Pittsburgh to start the season, and then they went 3-4 games in a row, beating teams by like 30+ points, and then they went into a lull, and you're like, what is this team doing? And then they come back around. They got hot at the right time, and they took it. Look, Bill Belichick doesn't get routed 47-17. Now, granted, he doesn't have Tom Brady, but he doesn't get routed 47-17. He's played a lot. His team has played well. I don't know if it's a Mac Jones thing or whatever, but like you said, Bills on both sides of the ball looked great. They looked great the other night, and that's the difference. They have a complete team. If they continue on this way, to be honest, like Tennessee, they're getting Derrick Henry back. We're going to talk about the games, but that's going to be a boost for them. But they're not as complete of a team as Buffalo is. Buffalo just got, like you said, got into their own heads. They're talented on both sides of the ball. There's no reason why they shouldn't be there. And shout out to Drumheller. He was on BetMGM, and he was on a show with Trista Kicks and all, or whatever her name is, and all that. And he was talking about, they kind of changed the way that Buffalo's offense runs with Josh Allen running the ball as well. And it's kind of like what the Eagles did when they incorporated the run into their offense. And right now they're unstoppable. And Josh Allen is playing lights out.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And the difference between Buffalo and Tennessee, I think, is it's at the quarterback position. And when Josh Allen's there, you saw him in the negative degree weather, just ripping balls through the air. He's the Bills Mafia, and they're the real deal now. And the only ones that are going to stop the Bills are the Bills. And I do believe that. Now, when you get to the NFC and they have to match up against someone like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, okay, different story. And we can talk that when it gets, and maybe even Matthew Stafford, as you said. It won't be the Niners, believe me there. But just very, very impressed. I'm gonna have the Bills right now, and man, it'd be fun to have a story about Buffalo in the Super Bowl again. I can get with Buffalo. The other team I can get with, Cincinnati. Smoking Joe's my boy, man. Yeah. I just, this guy, he's got a little ice water in his veins. He's not scared of the moment. He's a leader. He's a guy that I can put the ball in his hands and trust he's going to do the right thing. Now, he may mess up, but in the end, this guy's a killer's the wrong word, but he's a guy that's going to go out there and he's going to try and win that game anyhow.
Yeah, honestly, just his poise. He really has that Smoking Joe attitude, persona. I don't think he's afraid of anything. And I'll be honest, like I thought Cincinnati made a mistake when they drafted Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell, but I was wrong, and I'll admit that because the connection he has with Jamar Chase and the way Jamar Chase almost looks better than he did in college, and Jamar Chase didn't even play last year, so teams drafted Jamar Chase just on what he did earlier on. So he's only getting older and he's only maturing and coming into his own. So that connection and the wide receivers they have, the running back in Joe Mixon, people everybody has forgotten about Joe Mixon and his past, but you look at this team and they're fun to watch. It is. They're fun to watch, but this Cincinnati team is something. I just don't think they're experienced enough to go all the way right now.
No,
but they're fun, and
they're fun.
I have my thoughts
on them. Let's roll through the weekend real fast here, and you pick out the game. You don't have to tell me if you were betting it or until you tell me it's your best bet. But we'll open up with the first one on Saturday, and that is Cincinnati getting 6 in Tennessee. It's a game that they opened up the weekend last weekend and might have played one of the more exciting games, outside of the Dallas Cowboys San Francisco 49er game of the weekend. Derek Carr getting it down near the end zone, having a chance to win the game, but having 4 downs that went empty. And the Cincinnati Bengals are on their way to Tennessee. It's 3.5.
Yeah, I was gonna say 6. I was like, please throw me that money. That would have been my clear bet of the.
No, that's it's the game at night that's 6. Yeah, 3.5. I tell you, my lean right now is Cincinnati. This isn't my best bet of the weekend, but if I had a lean at Cincinnati, there's a lot of good numbers out there for teams that are coming off, that bye week and rested, and obviously bringing back the horse, Mark Henry. I think, they are positioned well. That's the Tennessee Titans, but there's also some stories behind having that momentum, having that energy, and going in there with nothing to lose. So if I had to take a side, as long as this game starts over or stays over 3.5, it stays over 3, and I'm at 3.5, Bengals would be my play, but it's not my best bet.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you. I think that 3.5, that half a point really sways and changes a lot of things. It gives you that leeway because I could see this being as a 3-point loss. Like I said, the one thing, Derrick Henry coming back, that could be a boost for Tennessee. Because honestly, like I said, they're not as skilled offensively as Buffalo or defensively. Like they just do everything well. Vrabel has done a very good job there. They're good on both sides of the ball, but they're not great. And the thing is, Tennessee is, I forget, they were one of the only teams I think they won against the most winning teams I think in the AFC. Tennessee, they took care of business, they took care of their schedule the way that things were. They got that number 1 seed, but to me, they don't feel like a true number 1 seed. And with this off time, and as much as I think it's good to have Derrick Henry back, I think it's he may not be the same. I don't know. We'll have to see how that plays out. So when I look at, I put that would not be my best bet, but give me the Bengals all day with that 3.5. I love that half point for them.
All right, I'm with you. We go into the night game. It's going to be fun. You got Rodgers. You got the Niners. The Niners coming off that great upset at Dallas. But we call it an upset. It was the one game. I forecasted that. I just said, Dallas, listen, if you let up over 100 yards, you're vulnerable rushing. You're 6-0 when you don't. You're just mediocre when you do. It was a bad matchup, I thought, for Dallas all along. People looked at it the other way, that Dallas, could throw all day against San Fran, but not with that defensive line that they have. And then San Fran gets it done. Now they're going to Green Bay with just even a bigger problem. Now they're underdog by 6 here, going to Aaron Rodgers, his place, his time. One of his last games, maybe ever, in Green Bay. We'll see when the offseason is done, where the dust settles. I lean Green Bay in this game -6 right now. I'm not positive where Jimmy G's shoulder is at. I'm not positive they're going to be able to be physical like they were against Dallas. And really, in the end, where is San Fran's weakness? It is in the defensive secondary. I think Rodgers is sharp enough to pick up on Bosa and the guys up front. They've been creating a lot of havoc and sacks. I think he's going to get the ball out quick. I think he's going to neutralize their strength and turn it into a weakness. I think Green Bay is really going to be able to move the ball in this game. I question whether San Fran can consistently. I lean Green Bay, but it's not, it's not a best bet.
Yeah, I also lean Green Bay. For a while, I was thinking that might be my best bet, but I do have another one on the way. With that being said, I agree with you about everything that you said. I think they're going to move the ball well. I think Rodgers is on a relaxed tour, and I think he wants to shut everybody up. I think he was like, all right, you guys are going to make me play in Green Bay this year. I'm going to go out there and kick some A. So I think he's all about it. And he's going to go as far as he can go. I think, the defense for Green Bay has gotten better over the season. You're getting inspired play by Rasul Douglas. For San Francisco, with Jimmy G having some injury issue, I think it's with his ribs, if I'm not mistaken, or like his side,
non-throwing shoulder or ribs. Yeah.
And he's having some issues. And really, to me, Jimmy G is a glorified game manager. And I think against an offense like Green Bay's, at Green Bay, I think it's a tough place to go into. I don't think that they're going to have much success. They're going to neutralize the defense, as you said. Bosa's not going to be able to do much. Fred Warner, he might be coming back, and that would be a boost for them. But at the same time, I think good linebacker is not going to be enough to stop what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. He's going to pick them apart left by right. So to me, I definitely like the Green Bay on -6.
Nice.
I think it's going to be the blow, like the biggest blowout of the weekend, probably.
Yeah, if there is one, for sure.
Yeah, if they're right, like I could see a 10-point win easily.
Yeah, definitely the best competitive weekend of the season, of the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting. Going to Sunday, 3:00. Got the Rams and Bucks. Everybody's all rammed up after that Monday night beatdown of Kyler Murray, who stinks, has consistent there, and Cliff Kingsbury, who stinks. Very consistent there. They beat a bad team. Let's just be honest. The Arizona Cardinals are not very good, and they're not very good without DeAndre Hopkins. They're obviously even worse. So they're rammed up. I got it. You're rammed up. I still don't trust Matthew Stafford when you need to trust Matthew Stafford. That was his first career playoff victory. Can he go beat the GOAT? No. He cannot go beat the GOAT. They beat the GOAT earlier. They ain't beaten the GOAT twice.
Yeah.
For all it's worth, I love the game after this, but I'm going to put my money down as the best bet of my weekend right now. Is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers -3. They didn't have to do much last week. They're going to have to show up a little more this week. They're going to have to be a little sharper. I think they will. I think the Rams are fool's gold. As much as I picked them at the beginning of the year to make the playoffs, I'm not with the boy genius, Sean McVay. I think they've sold too much of their soul to the devil with all these trades and players. And I just think Stafford's going to come up short when Stafford needs to come up big. Give me the Bucks -3 is my best bet of this weekend.
And the thing is about Odell and Von Miller, they're actually both playing really well. They both started off slow, but they're both playing really well. But with that being said, I don't think it's enough. To keep it short and quick, I agree with what you said. But for Tom Brady, he remembers his losses more than his wins. And with that being said, he's going to have blood in his eyes. He's going to see red, and he's going to make sure that he does everything in his power to make sure the Buccaneers are victors on Sunday against the Rams. To me, I agree with that bet. I would take the Rams -3 at home. I mean, Bucks -3 at home. Sorry.
All right, we roll into the one that just, man, it was the AFC Championship game last year. It's Sunday, mid-evening, almost night, 6:30 p.m. And here's our Bills, as we've talked earlier, +2, 2.5 in some markets at the Kansas City Chiefs. I do like the Bills in this game. I got an early bet in on +2.5. I'm going to ride that 2.5. I could easily – the Bills are better than the Chiefs. I'm just going to tell you that now. But I can easily see scenarios where Patrick Mahomes pulls out the magic and wins this game. I can see it happen. I can see Andy Reid out coaching Sean McDermott. I can see a lot of those things, and it is a coin flip in my opinion. But if we get an even day and we get good weather and we get two teams playing on the same field with equal footing, I just believe the Buffalo Bills are better. So I like the Bills plus 2.5 in this game. We've talked about them ad nauseum earlier. I'll just leave it at the Bills plus 2.5. And Thomasini, don't let me down.
This is my bet of the week. Bills plus 2.5. I love the number. I love where they're at. I love them going into Kansas City. I love them getting redemption this year. They lost 38-24, I believe, last year against Kansas City. Look, Buffalo is a cold weather team. Josh Allen has a lot going on. He needs to prove he was worth getting the second highest. This is the first meeting of the top two contracted guys in the league in the playoffs in at least 10 years, I think. There was some stat about that, but Mahomes and Allen have the two highest contracts in all of football. So with that being said, I think Josh Allen has to prove his worth. I mean, Kansas City's defense, they started off the season abysmal. They got a little bit better as it went on. But if Buffalo did this year, and I think this is their time, they turned it on at the right point. Like I said, they had that stretch. I think they beat Washington like 42-0 or something along the 40-0. They then beat Miami like 40-17. Like, if they play that type of game, it's going to be a close one. But I think the Bills outright win this game. Whether it's
I like it.
Like 3 to 7 points.
Yeah, and I look back, right? I look back at the last few years of what we saw with the Kansas City Chiefs. They've made the last two Super Bowls, right? Mm-hmm. 2 years ago in the divisional round, they faced the Houston Texans and were down 24-0 until they woke up and won 51-31.
Right.
But that you can't do that this week, right? Coming off that bye. And then last year, they snuck out a game against the Browns in this round, 22-17. Baker had the ball, a few chances to drive down and win that game, and couldn't get it done. The divisional round has been the closer of the rounds for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they finally get snuck. I do think the Bills get them. So we're in alignment on all 4 games, which is almost crazy, which is almost scary. But that's okay because that's what we do here on Fourth and Go. We don't script it. We just roll it. And with that, let's go to where Marc Thomasini's heart is right now, what he's wearing right on his chest. That's the Philadelphia 76ers. And talking about their big win tonight and their most recent hot stretch here. They had a bad game the other day against Washington on MLK Day. But they've been playing good basketball lately. And I just wanted to get your take tonight. Really bad first half and one of those slow Doc first halves. But great second half.
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing. You put out a tweet out there how it was a lazy first half by Doc. They didn't take a timeout. We talked about this before we got on that he didn't call timeouts. He didn't have Joel in the second quarter. Like he had 6 minutes. It just seemed like they let the magic hang around for too long in this game. But then the third quarter came out. They started off the third quarter down 10, and before I think the third quarter was 47-23 Sixers. So they completely routed them in the third quarter, and they took control the rest of the way. The second quarter was 36-22 Orlando. So they let them hang around. Mo Bamba went off. Now, like you and I've talked about, Mo Bamba had a career high 28 points in the first half, and that's his career high ever.
I think 25 was his career high. Like he had it by like middle.
No, I think it was. I actually do think it was 22 was his career high.
21.
And he had 28, 22.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. When he got the 25
in the first half and then got into foul trouble. So that's the reason why he had to sit back and just watch Joel completely obliterate. But with that being said, it's not really as much that we're going to go into tonight's game, but just what we're watching with Joel Embiid. I mean, we're watching history. And the thing is, he finished second in MVP voting last year, and he's playing better this year than he is last year. I mean, the things that he's doing off ball is so much better. he's setting picks. And like, that's why we're seeing, and I think we saw at the end of last year, him and Seth Curry got a relationship going. And I think that's changed things. And now he's starting to grow a relationship with Maxey and their pick and roll game and, the back and forth. But, we don't want to waste Embiid at some point. I mean, he was pretty much half the team's points tonight. Don't get me wrong. He had 50 and they had 123. But for the most part, I mean, in the third quarter, it was 82 to, I forget what it was, like 82 to 70 something, but he had 41 points. So he was half their points.
Yeah.
And the things that you're seeing him doing, the way he's dribbling up the court, like he's just gotten better at the small things, setting picks, setting screens, dribbling the ball up court. He's been he's figured it out. Fundamentally, he's become a fully sound player, both sides of the court. But now you need to do something. And that's going to lead us into I know we're going to talk about the whole Ben Simmons point.
Yeah.
But you can't waste what's going on because now he's all here. Joel Embiid has fully arrived. He is a 100% complete basketball player from top to bottom right now. That's what he's been this year. Passing. I mean, he's had a couple triple doubles. Like he's doing it all. Now we can't waste it. People are getting mad that there hasn't been a Ben trade yet. But I really think
we'll
need
get
to figure it out. Yes, I know.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Joel Embiid's special, right? He's 5th in the league in scoring, 10th in rebounds. He's 3rd in player efficiency rating, which is a Hollinger, stat that I know a lot of NBA MVP voters, subscribe to. He's only behind Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo. So to former MVPs, he's sitting right there, right on their plateau with them. And you're right. I think this year is better than last year. After tonight's game, those numbers probably just rise. Those are just numbers I had before tonight. But when you throw out 50 and 12, I mean, I can only see that getting better. And the challenge there, Denver's not very good. Milwaukee's a little better than the Sixers. So, he's probably going to, behind him's LeBron. They're not very good. Butler's back there too on PR, but he hasn't played as many games. So, I mean, we're going to be talking. I think you're going to go down this stretch. You're going to get the LeBron, chitter chatter because it's LeBron, right? It's going to go between LeBron, Giannis, and Embiid. I really do believe that. I don't see Jokic winning back to back, and I don't see him with that team. That's fighting for the back end of the Western Conference.
For whatever reason, I don't think Embiid's going to win MVP.
I don't. But what I'm saying is he will be in the talk once again, and I think he'll get a little bit of voter remorse from last year too. I think he might get a little bit of here and there, but it's not. We're not going to get a Durant. We're not going to get some other top. John Morant's going to get in the discussion, obviously, with the way the Grizzlies have been playing lately. But it's like Embiid last year. They don't like giving these guys their first chance. So. He's going to have a shot, and you're right. You're right 100%. This team and the way he's playing, he's carrying them. And there were some comments the other day, and he's playing his greatest basketball ever. He's more mature. I love listening to him. I love watching him. He is getting to the point that he's Allen Iverson, once again, for me, who was the greatest Sixer that I got to see. I love Charles Barkley. I love Dr. J. I love some other players before, believe me. But Iverson, I could just gravitate to, and Embiid's, he's there, and I'm ready for him to take it over. He's that guy, right? But he said something really interesting the other day, and I loved it. I don't care about Simmons. Yeah, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but it's more like,
sure.
I don't need you to trade for anybody right now. I believe in the guys in the locker room. We're winning. I think they won. I think 8 out of their last 10, something in that range. And he's like, you don't have to make that trade because guess what? I'm here. I'm going to engage for you.
Was the same way. He would never ask for anybody's help.
No, I'm that guy, and I'm going to win games for you. I love this city. Put everybody on my back, and that's who he is.
But in this league, you do need somebody.
Oh, me and
that's what I'm saying. Like it's almost like overconfidence, and I don't think he's being cocky. I think he believes in himself as much as you possibly can without being cocky.
Yes, but here's how I took it. I took it more as these are my dogs that go with me every single day. And there ain't no way, no how. The guy that's sitting back there that's claiming mental fragility,
Bro,
I'm not gonna give him
oh,
any interest in my day. And I'm gonna say these guys
he's
in here I can win with. He's given his team more
yeah,
of a boost, saying it's I know he's got that self-confidence. We all know that, but I think
yeah.
it was more of him saying, I don't care about the outside noise. I care about what's in here now, and I can win with these. I think he's given his guys motivation and energy. And that I really that's what I loved more about this
And
week than anything.
I love that too. But here's the way that I look at it. I agree. I think he's written Ben off. I think he's like, look, dude, you didn't show up. You're not here. You're doing your own thing. I don't need you. I don't want you. I believe that part of it.
Yes.
And I think that is what he's saying. And he said because he said it in his preseason interviews where he was like, the guys are here. We have 100% chemistry. Like he said it, like we're together as a team. But the one thing that I'm afraid of is that he's so much like he needs some help. And I don't think he'll ever ask for it. Like I think the closest time to asking for it was when Jimmy was here. And not that he even asked for it, but he appreciated Jimmy being here. He appreciated that Jimmy's a dog. Joel at heart is a dog. Not going to bow down to anybody. And I think that was the best pairing that he could have had. But he needs some help because if not, they don't have as much as his guys are there. Maxi's there. I mean, Harris is terrible and he needs to go, but Seth is there. Andre Drummond is there. Him and those two, I think, are getting along really well now.
They are. They're good.
Young guns are coming in and doing things, and Matisse is there. And then he's taking Matisse and Maxi under his wing, but he can't do it all himself.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But
show up.
The other thing he's doing, and I truly, truly believe this, is he's taking pressure off Daryl Morey. And Daryl Morey's got a tremendous amount of pressure. He's trying to make this happen.
Right.
The more his superstar can put him under an umbrella and shade him in the corner, he's going to allow him to do his thing on his own, knowing his superstar is not worried about what the GM's trying to do. So there was all positives, I believe, about that. And it's just an awesome situation. But the reality is you can't win with this roster. The best case scenario for this team, in my opinion, right now, is 4 seed at best. I think it's 5 realistically. I think it's going to be
3.
Yeah, I think it's tough to catch a team like the Bulls. I think they'll find a way to still settle in there. Milwaukee's going to be there. Miami's going to be there. The one team that I can honestly believe they might be able to catch is Brooklyn, only because of the Kevin Durant injury and Kyrie Irving playing only, certain games. But in the end, I think Brooklyn's probably still going to hold on. So then there you go. You're 5. But then you're fighting 5 with Cleveland, who's got just about the same record as you. And by the way, has the easiest schedule the rest of the way. So then you're 6. So, without shaping this roster and improving it, they can keep doing what they're doing and beating these Orlandos and beating these Bostons. But it's going to be hard for them to climb much higher than 5 or 6 in the East. That's why it's imperative. This Ben Simmons deal needs to get done by February 10th, the trade deadline. Right now, my confidence factor is below 50%. I think it's 40% he gets traded. I think Morey just doesn't want to. I don't think he wants this on his name. I think he thinks he can get more in the offseason. I think that's when Harden becomes of the UFA and all these other things. And it scares me. You're wasting a great year. I'm under 50%. And it scares me. I mean, Lillard's out now. He's hurt. I don't know. Where are you at on Ben Simmons and the confidence that this trade will happen?
I think that people are writing the ship early saying that, the Ben trade needs to happen right now. But look, the teams are going to get more desperate by the time when it comes to the trade deadline. With that being said, there's the rumors about, a trade centered around Halliburton, Healed, a first. Now I want to say Barnes, and then for Simmons, Harris, and Thibault. It's tough because if it's Simmons and Harris, I mean it's a no-brainer. But with Thibault, it changes things. But offensively he's great. Or I mean defensively he's great. Offensively, it's tough. That one I think Thibault is a glue guy. So it's interesting. There's a lot of rumors, but Sacramento is throwing so many daggers out there in 10 different directions. One day everybody's up for trade. Now they're trying to build the team around Fox and Halliburton. Then, they're trying to get Simmons without having to give up either. Like it's all, and then they're saying, they're Indiana wants, an all-star in return for Sabonis, and that means that would Fox be going there? Like, there's so much going on.
Well, did you see that Detroit one the other day?
I did.
I mean, they can go kick a
Grant,
can. I think
Olynyk and 2 first.
Yeah, no, out, way out, and
well,
out.
Because
and some people say
he's not getting a star in return.
Well, it's not just that. It's like how does Grant and Harris work?
Right.
Like I don't see how that works. And
right.
And
I mean, I'd rather Grant over Harris. I'll tell you that.
But I don't know, man. You say that, and I'm sure a lot of you other people would too. You say that, but I'm sure Harris looked a lot better when he wasn't here. I mean, Grant was a second-round pick. He was, he's a guy that's made himself on some bad rosters. He's all right. Don't get me wrong. I know what he's been doing, and he's been getting better.
And I fear that Grant wants to be the primary player on his team. If that's the case, it's not happening.
And he was here, right? And
right.
he was back in those days. Yeah, the early Brett Brown, 10-win days.
Yeah.
So the Detroit one, you can kick it because
right.
First off, we're going to protect every first round pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want it, but I am intrigued still by Sacramento, even if Fox isn't in it. I'm still intrigued by what Cleveland could give too.
I mean, if you can pull Darius Garland.
Well, it has to. It has to be Garland.
Yeah. It's not Colin Sexton anymore. It's Darius Garland.
Yep. Yeah. It's got to be Garland. That gives you that free point guard / 2 guard guy that really has a dynamic, dribble, penetration game and has a great 3-point shot. And then you can build some other pieces in that package. So I still think there's a shot for a Cleveland trade that makes sense. The only problem there is, and I've also been hearing this. The problem with Cleveland is they're good, but I've also been hearing this Atlanta Hawk noise, and I can't get there with the John Collins package. Can you?
Well, before when it was Collins, Reddish, and at first I was like, Cam Reddish actually was playing really well.
Hunter's playing better, I think. Hunter's on fire now.
Yeah, I know. I like what Reddish brought, but now that Reddish
problem with Reddish is he's a free agent next year. So that was my Hunter. You got 2 years in the contract.
But Reddish is gone now. He's where's he?
Oh, I know he's a Nick, and they got Kevin Knox back, and it was garbage.
Yeah.
But
now that's over with. I couldn't center a package around John Collins. For me, he doesn't fit with Harris as well. And all he really does, his best facet is rebounding, and you have Embiid. You need somebody. You need a really good scoring wing if you're going to go that route. And Collins is not that.
Yeah, I actually like Collins, and I think he could fit with Embiid because I think if you trap on Embiid, Collins does make some things happen. But here's the thing: do you really want to trade with the team that beat you last year when Ben Simmons was a big part of that failure? It's just the kumbaya, the stars aligning just don't make sense for me. I stay away from that. They're a struggling mess, by the way, too. Their GM is going on the air and said that he screwed some things up, per se. That's why I think the Cam Reddish thing has started to fall, and some other pieces will too. But I just let them go away.
Yeah,
I
want nothing to do with the Hawks. Really, Sacramento is there. Like you said, Minnesota's been real quiet. I mean, obviously, I would love Lillard. I mean, but how long is he out? You're looking at a little bit there.
They said up to 8 weeks, and that was about a week and a half ago.
He just doesn't want to be here.
I know,
which is frustrating.
Yeah,
like you could have made this happen. You could have been here before the season started if you wanted to be. You really could have.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know he's dedicated to California and everything like that, but I know there's talk about, being in New York, and everybody wants to go to New York, but
Yeah.
this was
But
like,
you
if
won't win.
as an elite guard to have an elite center, like you two would be able to really split it up. I mean, to me, that's the perfect scenario for Damian Lillard, because you're not completely selling out, because you're not joining a big three. It's going to be the two of you, and you don't really want any parts of it. And where his camp is telling him, like, yo, Philly might be the place to go,
I know.
still don't want to do it.
It sucks.
I want him. Don't get me wrong.
It
I want
hurts.
Damian
I
Lillard.
know.
But it's like, what are you doing with your life? Go ahead and keep being a mediocre team in Portland, a sub 500 team. That's fine. You have your dignity, but guess what? You're not going to have any rings.
He ain't. It's just not happening there. That team gets worse and worse every year. But guess what doesn't get worse and worse? That's Fourth and Go here on the Heat Radio Network. That's right. We went a little long tonight, but we went a little long because there was just so much good stuff to talk about. So many things to go over. The Eagles talk is going to get shorter as the year goes on and then grow back up after the Super Bowl. But the Sixers aren't going to die. And hopefully we can even get a little bit of Phillies and Flyers talking as we sit here and watch these seasons. Hopefully baseball comes back and the Flyers maybe turn around this 9-game losing streak. But I say that with tongue in cheek. We are Philly Fourth and Go, 4 for 4, plus so much more. Marc Tomasini, it's been a pleasure as always. Hopefully, next week we'll make a little visit out to Steam Pub, see some of our faithful there in the face, there Tuesday in the flesh, have a beer, talk a little sports, and then get back on here next Wednesday night. Talk all about the NFL divisional round, and then again, getting closer to that trade deadline. I'm sure we'll have a lot more Simmons talk. Sixers continue to rise. So much more going forward here. I can't wait for it. I know you can't either.
Oh, I can. Tuesday night,
awesome stuff.
Get out there. See you then.
Awesome stuff, bud. Thanks again to everyone for checking in tonight. You really helped move the conversation, keep us going. We got fired up about Rager for a little bit there, but that's what we do, and that's why we love all our fans, all the people that interact every day. So until then, till next week, can't wait to see you at the Steam Pub. Can't wait to see you back here again. Wednesday night, 9:30, Philly, 4 for 4, plus so much more. I'm D. Gleck. That's Marc Tomasini. Until next week. Deuces.